If you struggle with SAT grammar, this is one concept that you need to understand: sentence boundaries. So first, an independent clause is a complete thought. It has a subject and a verb, and it can stand on its own as a sentence. For example, the student studied for a test. It has a subject, a verb, and it's also a complete thought. On the other hand, a dependent clause only has a subject and a verb, but it can't stand on its own because it doesn't complete a thought. Words like because, although, and when often create these clauses. For example, because the student studied for the test. So the subject here is the students and the verb is studied, but since we have the word because at the start, it's not a complete thought because we don't know what's happening. Now, if you put a dependent clause by itself, you get a sentence fragment. It sort of feels like the sentence is missing something. For example, because the student studied for the test, that's incomplete because we don't know what happened as a result. But if we add an independent clause, it becomes complete. Because the students studied for the test, they felt prepared. Now, a run-on is the complete opposite. Instead of an incomplete thought, you got two complete thoughts pushed together without being properly separated. For example, the students studied for the test, they felt prepared. They're not properly separated by something like a period, so both sides can stand alone, but they need to be properly separated. The correct version would be the students studied for the test, period, they felt prepared. So, here's a trick for the SAT. What you want to do is look at what's on both sides of the blank and ask yourself, can both sides stand alone as a complete sentence? If yes, you're dealing with two independent clauses and need to connect them correctly. So now I'll give you a practice question. So pause the video, choose your answer, and see if you can figure it out, whether you're dealing with a complete sentence, a fragment, or a run-on. The museum's new exhibit highlights the culture of the indigenous people of the region, however, because many of the original artifacts were lost or destroyed over time, the collection remains incomplete. So, which choice changes the highlighted text so that it conforms to the conventions of standard English? The sentence has two independent clauses, and to join these two clauses that are separated by the word however, you can use a period, a semicolon, or a comma plus a fanboy. So the only option that works here is option C. So option A creates a comma splice, and option D gets rid of the transition completely. So only option C works because there's a semicolon right after the word region, and then it continues by the transition, comma, and then the rest of the second independent clause.